So once again, very good day to everybody. This is transport warehouse logistics, and this is our last topic for this course. Okay, so this is nothing but the importance of the international conventions, especially in the logistics. Actually, in the last class we discussed about CarNet, then we discussed about CMR conventions. Okay, what is the relevance to the Transport Law Act? So that we were discussing. Okay, so these are nothing but the conventions, so that you should know about it in the logistics. So this is especially for you, my dear students and young researchers, and you can reach me at dr.christoananth@gmail.com. So before beginning the session, once again let me thank God for giving me this opportunity to deliver this useful session to share my knowledge among my fellow national, international participants, students, and young researchers. So in this class, we'll have a short introduction. Then we try to highlight the main areas we try to highlight the main areas addressed by this United Nations, which is legally binding instruments that is mapped across like four most important goals in the transport warehousing businesses. Then we discuss about the road transport and of course the road traffic safety that we'll be discussing. Okay, and what are the most important conventions? What are the regulations? What are the standards that has to be maintained on the road signs and signals? So that was established during 1968, the first act. Okay, then we discuss about the European agreement, okay, concerning the work of the crews of vehicles specially engaged in the IRT, International Road Transport Act of 1970. So these are nothing but the government acts that was actually established and how we are following. Okay, so there has been very minimum updations, but of course the act was continued so and so. Okay, then we have JRC, Joint Research Center, and about the speedometer that we will be using the tachograph, especially by the Continental, and of course chip cards by the Chrono Services. Then we try to facilitate the cross-border transport. Okay, what are the computerized TIR? Okay, that will be discussing, and of course we end up this class with the vehicle regulations and United Nations, the European Cooperation of the regulations body that will be discussed. No. So at regular intervals, I'll be giving you some short videos to discuss the knowledge in our topics. Right. Fine. So whenever we come up with any act like Transport Law Act or maybe CMR conventions or maybe CarNet, okay, so they have to follow the procedures. They have to follow the standards. Okay, so this is in align with the international community standards. Okay, where you have to keep SDG as your top and priority most goal. Okay, so SDG is nothing but Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so we have to bring about these equipments, these measures, these standards, okay, especially for the international legally binding instruments. So everything has to be approved, okay, by the central authority, and of course, with the case of local as well as international government, it should be aligned even. Okay, so that is the reason you call it as ESDG, okay, or you can very clearly, very aptly say that it's a sustainable mobility for all, okay, some for all initiative, so that you can actually measure, okay, what are the efforts that you are taking, okay, in order to raise the standard, okay. So these are the objectives, especially for the international conventions, okay. So we are going to establish a global roadmap, okay. So we are identifying the potential gaps that are associated, and of course you will have a constructive development event, okay. So this is categorized into two types, okay. One is legally binding instruments, that is following, that is including the UN conventions, agreements and regulations, okay, especially with the European Union directives and regulations even, okay. And definitely it will be acting as a benchmark, local, regional, national, and of course international benchmark even we are setting, okay. So whenever they are laying out some standards, they will have a local benchmark that is compared with that neighboring states. Then it will be compared with the regional. For example, okay, Turkey is very good, especially with these acts. Okay, so they will be having, okay, the international level benchmarking to be Turkey. Okay, so they will be setting the benchmarks, and it is ethical. It is correct to follow them. Okay, so as to develop the standards. Okay, and of course we will have international cooperation and coordination even. So these are, when they are following the procedures, it's legally binding instruments. And another one is non-binding instruments. So here we will have like vision and mission statements, especially for the different organizations. Okay, so across the countries, across the agencies, across the entities, okay, we will be having like policy recommendations as well. Okay, so this is unplanned. This is not in the context, but it will be okay a guideline like a dictionary that you can refer, but it's not that legal. Okay, so that is what you have: binding and then non-binding instruments. Okay, so these are grouped by topics. We have universal access, efficiency, safety, and go green environment as well. Okay, with regards to infrastructure, transit facilitation, carriage of dangerous goods. Okay, road traffic and signs, vehicle regulations, environmental conventions, international civil aviation instruments as well, maritime instruments, unimodal or maybe multimodal transport conventions, the climate agreement, conventions on the gender equality, okay, international labor organization. So everything we will be having a map. Okay, so if it conforms to the standards means we put a tick, otherwise no. Okay, so it's not like you try to paint the entire picture. You have to be correct and you are maintaining it, then definitely it will be fitting according to the legally binding instruments as well. Okay. So these agreements definitely will be having a benchmark. Okay, we will be having framework and international standards as well, and even within the national government also it will be serving as the regulations. So that is the reason I told you like these acts 1958, 1968, 1970. From then it was actually being followed. Okay, so out of these 58 United Nations transport agreements, okay, so that is aligned with this United Nations Economic Cooperation for Europe. Okay, 13. Okay, they fit into the standards of the road transport. Okay. Right. So we have like cross-border facilitation as well, transport of dangerous goods, perishable foodstuffs. So everything we will maintain accordingly. Okay. So this is the road transport and road traffic safety. So that was the convention which was established during 1968. Okay, especially for the road safety measures. Okay, I don't know whether you have seen. Even in my country, they would have kept a table. Okay. Uh, Across the years 2000, 2005, 2010, 2015, 2020, what are the road accidents has taken place? Those who wear helmet, after wearing helmet, what is the effect? Before wearing helmet, what are the accidents? So they will be having the map. So even they will be giving out some strange pictures of about people shedding blood in the road. Okay, just because of the road accident. So it's just to give the awareness. Okay. So these are nothing but the acts, the convention that was followed during the road traffic. Okay. So these conventions, it's nothing but the common agreed rules as well. Okay, that includes the driver and of course the vehicle as well and the standards which are maintained. Okay, so the contracting parties definitely should comply with the rules. Okay, so these conventions we will apply to the motor vehicles drivers even, so that they will recognize okay the conditions accordingly, and they whatever they have, okay, for example the license certificate or maybe what the registration about the vehicle, like light vehicles or heavy duty vehicles, everything they should be laying according to the contracting parties even. Okay, so there are some basic conditions, especially for admission of vehicles, especially in the toll gates. Okay, across for transfer of goods from one place to another. Right. So this is the conventions of the road signs and signals, especially established in 1968. Okay, we had like three categories. One is danger warning, informative, and then regulatory procedures. Okay, so here you will be having certain shapes, certain colors, certain dimensions. Okay, whether it's a narrow path or maybe you have to take a left, take right. Okay, so you should understand the road signs. Most of them, 90 to 95% of the people don't know all the road signs. That is a problem. Okay, we make a blind assumption. Okay, that okay, this is like this. Okay, and we do that. Okay, we have to follow them. Okay, just for ensuring the visibility and legibility even. Okay, so there has been common norms, especially for the traffic light signals even. Okay, and especially when what the pedestrians should follow in the road. Okay, right. And of course, we have the European agreement, especially with the work of crews of vehicles in the the International Road Transport IRT, okay, of the 1970. Okay, so because of the driver, what are the accidents that are prone to take place? So that it is discussed in the handbook even. Okay, and of course, what are the working hours? What are the non-standardized working hours? Okay, what are the speed limit that you have to maintain? So that has been established by the professional drivers, and of course, that is laid down between the private as well as the public government agencies as well. So the driving times, the rest periods, what are the support that is being provided, what are the control devices which are provided, okay, what software, okay, that has to be installed, okay, in the road, in the vehicle, so that you should have the standards even. Okay, so that for that one, AETR, the main standard, okay, for approving this one, has laid down some regulatory procedures, especially for checking of the driving hours, okay, by the competent authorities. Even if there are professional drivers also, they should follow these rules and regulations, okay, right. And this is digital tachograph. Okay, normally in the tolls you will have this one. Okay, it is expected to have this one. Okay, so that you are going to regulate the driving times and the rest period of the drivers as well, please. Okay, so for this one, digital tachograph was actually established, okay, introduced in the European Union, okay, in 2006. So it's not a new thing, okay, so that was actually established, especially for the driving speed, okay, and of course when the drivers should rest even. Okay, so this one is actually a card. You feed in the details and you get the card. Okay, so that is how you can experience this one. Okay. So AETR is not open for accession by non-UNECE member states. Underline this one. It's not accessible. Okay. So you have to conform to that one. Okay. Only then you can be able to comply with the AETR agreement. Okay. And of course, as I told you, digital tachograph, it's just a small card, okay, that you will measure, okay, the resting period, and of course the driving speed about the drivers even according to the national and international standards. Okay. And for regulating this one, in order to establish a joint membership, we have joint research center where you can actually safely nationally and internationally operate this digital tachograph between countries even. Okay, we have some functionalities. We have European Route Certification Authority, especially for the AEDR countries. Okay, so whenever we say Road Convention Act, CMR Convention, okay, we definitely should comply to the European standards. Okay, because they have some laid down principles as well. Then we have the convention of the contract for international carriage of goods by the road in 1956. Okay, so that is all about delivering this digital tachographs, especially to the home-to-home needs as well. Okay, so we are going to harmonize this national systems, especially to comply according to the international standards. Okay, and for this one we have convention on the contract of the international carriage of goods by road. Okay, so that is the Road Act of 1946. Okay, so that you can go on to the international road transportation. We have a common consignment note, and of course the limits as well. What you should carry, what are the dimensions you should carry, when you can safely drive, what are the periods you should rest. So that is the lay down conditions between the carrier and the shipper here. So we have like speedometer. Okay, so this is the entire device. Okay, in the tachograph. Okay, speedometer. This is the display. Okay, this is where you get the printout. Okay, here you have the maybe physical or maybe touch screen as well. The menu that you will be selecting. Okay, and through this one, it can be connected to the PC or maybe notebook computer. Okay, where you can download this data. Okay, then you have the driver duty change as well, crew duty change as well. Sensor is also there, motion sensor will be there, and of course you will be getting a driver chip card. So this is you are feeding and you are getting the details, okay, with regards to the printer. Okay, so that you should know about this. So we have International Carriage of Goods by Road Act of 1978 as well. So that is going to modify what we discussed in the last class, CMR convention. Okay. So we try to introduce special drawing rights as well. Okay, so that is the reference to the transfer of goods. Okay, so we have like 41 states like three are from Euromid, so that are complying with the standards. We have Jordan, Lebanon, Tunisia. Okay, so these countries are complying to the protocol of the Convention on the Contract for International Carriage of Goods by Road. Okay. So still there are more countries which are complying to the standards as well. Okay, and we have Customs Convention on the International Transport of Goods by the TIR Carnet. Okay, so that was the convention that was established in 1975, especially for the custom transit goods. Okay, so that was the procedure, and of course, we will enjoy a seamless transport of goods even across the countries. We will be using secure vehicles, containers as well. Okay, so that has been approved. Okay, according to the cross-border relationship that we will be transferring the goods, and of course, we will be also enjoying some discount on the taxes that is laid on between the transport. So International Road Transport Union definitely will be mandating this TAR guarantee. Okay, we'll have TAR carnets, and of course everything we will have the document. Okay, the guarantee document. Okay, that is complying with the validity of the TAR carnet, and of course any additional checks that you will perform. Okay. So I told about this one about the TAR operations. We are actually going into digitalization. We go for ETAR system. Okay, so that is how you are going to access through the software across the countries. Okay, so that we will access it. Okay, we will computerize this one so that we need not have these hard copy procedures. Okay, so that is in maintenance with this international TAR data bank. So that is a common authorized system, especially for the TAR system. And of course, transporters play a very important role. So everything, any problem, immediately they will catch hold of the transporter. So so that has to be digitalized as well. Okay, so the database has to be checked every time periodically, and this is why we try to introduce and develop the safe TAR systems where you can actually digitalize this TAR carnets, especially in the customs office of the destination. So we have ETAR project, as I discussed little about the last class. Okay, so that is the TAR electronic pre-declaration. So you can submit the data. You can submit the document electronically to the customs. Okay, about the data even. Okay, and that has been established in partnership with the national customs authorities. Okay, so we have like ETAR project even. So we have a committee especially for monitoring these activities, and you can also reduce the cross-border delays as well. Okay, so everything to ensure safe, secure delivery of goods, and we are actually leaving some trust on the carriers as well, that they will have a guarantee at any point of time. So these are the contracting parties that is complying according to these standards. We had 68 parties, okay, out of which there are 7 Euromed countries: Algeria, Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, Morocco, Syria, and Tunisia. Everybody are complying to the standards, and slowly other countries are, wrapping up. Okay, and they are racing on to comply with the standards. Okay. Then we have vehicle regulations as well, especially for the four-wheeler vehicles. Okay, so wheel vehicles, and of course conditions for approvals. We will have the Act of 1958. So that is about the emission about the from coming up from the vehicles. For example, when the vehicles transfer goods from one place to another, in finally, what do you see? The emission of carbon dioxide. So what is the level that it is actually emitting, okay, and how green the environment it is, okay, after these vehicles try to transfer the goods from one place to another, and this is what is manufactured and of course checked as well. Okay. So we have the legal documents comprising of 131 United Nations organization. We have the Wheeled Vehicle Act of 1998, so that is all about the global technical regulations of the vehicles. Okay, so what is the design procedures, what are the manufacturing processes that you will have, and of course how it will comply to the standards. So according to the Wheeled Vehicle Act of 1998, we have contracting parties 33 parties, including the European Union, and only one Euromed country, which is Tunisia, which is complying to the standard. Okay, so others not. Okay, slowly they are coming on. Okay. So we have the uniform conditions, especially for the periodical technical inspections of the wheel vehicles and reciprocal recognition of the inspections even. So that is for the technical inspection of vehicles. What should be allowed and what should not be allowed. Okay. So that's a technical inspection system, especially for the registered vehicles. Okay. And of course, we need these details, especially with the case of registration, the exact address of the place of unloading, what are the number of packages that are going to be delivered, okay, what are the modes of packaging, okay, what are the costs relative, especially to the transport, and what are the instructions that are laid down, whether it is laid down properly, and of course, whether it is conforming to the CMR, logistics regulations as well. So these are the UNEC regulations, okay, with regards to emission level and the evolution of the emission limits of trucks. Because if you can see road, rail, maritime, or any other transportation, trucks are the most efficient, most cheapest means of transport. Okay, so that is why we observe this emission levels. Okay, so across these years, okay, so we have seen, okay, the emission levels being reduced. Okay, so that is a positive sign. Of course, with regards to emission about carbon dioxide, definitely it is actually increasing. Okay, but still the vehicles that were transported between the goods, that was actually reduced. Right. So these are the UNEC regulations, especially for the passenger car. Okay. So that from 1970 to 2011 and on. Okay. We can see like carbon monoxide. Okay. Hydrogen, nitrogen oxide, particulates that were established. If you can see, particulates have been decreasing. Okay. So that is the safety limits. That is the effect of these safety procedures that were established. Okay. With regards to the emissions with respect to the manufacturing process and with regards to the documents that were maintained. Okay, we have laid out, we have successfully defended all the safety procedures.